This is Mike Corey from ESPN, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode, from the sidelines down to the post. Put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. From the flag with the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands.
Welcome into the Sports Objective. We appreciate everyone tuning in whenever and however you're watching or listening, whether it's live right now on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. And remember, our show can be found pretty much anywhere podcasts are found, including but not limited to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Anchor. Right now, we're very excited to be joined by a first-time guest. You know, a few weeks ago, we caught up with East Carolina men's golf alum John McGinnis, and hopefully one day in the very near future, we'll be able to get HV3 on the program. But right now, very excited to be joined from the women's side of things. Very successful golfer at East Carolina. Welcome in from Oslo, Norway, Dorthea Forbrigd. Dorthea, we appreciate your time.
Hello, thanks for having me. Thanks for the introduction.
Absolutely. Very successful career for you with the Pirates, but take us way back. Growing up there in Norway. What made you develop the passion that you have for the game of golf?
It was my grandfather that had me start playing when I was really young. He loved the game himself, and we were a group of girls who just played together when we were super young and had a lot of fun. So we just all continued with it.
So, growing up, in addition to golf, did you play any other sports?
Skiing is really popular in Norway, winter country. So
Right.
I did cross country skiing, downhill skiing, and tennis and soccer.
So talk about that decision. Obviously, golf is your biggest passion. Talk about, walk us through that decision that you made those years ago to come play collegiate golf at East Carolina University, and how that came about. Kevin Williams was the coach at the time. So, tell us about your recruitment to East Carolina, and then maybe any other programs you considered before choosing the Pirates.
Well, I thought about college pretty early because of the opportunity to combine academics with sports. That is a very unique thing with college in America. You don't, universities in Europe, they don't work like that. And so following my dream of playing professional golf, going to the US was really the only option and also the best option. Um, and there was a Norwegian girl on the ECU women's golf team, actually the 4 years prior to me coming to ECU, and she played from the same club as I did, and we shared the same coach. And so um, I came in contact with Coach Kevin pretty early, and because of that connection, and she just loved it, and so I made the decision based on that, and also on Coach Williams.
Yeah, and Coach Kevin Williams that you referenced, he's obviously a tremendous coach, but an even better person. Have had the opportunity to have him on the show multiple times, and also get to know him when I've attended some ECU women's golf tournaments down through the years at various locations. But upon arriving in the U.S., just talk about some of those changes, like the climate, the culture, and some of those differences, because obviously they're pretty extreme going from Norway to Eastern North Carolina and East Carolina University.
Uh, I mean, yeah, obviously it's very humid. It's a big difference, and when I remember when I started in August, it was over 100 Fahrenheit at that time, and I mean, I had never played golf in that weather before. But you get used to it, and there are a lot of people that are there to help. I will never forget when I first had to start grocery shopping, and I had never at home our grocery stores aren't nearly as big, and so I would, get lost or because of all the variety of the stuff that you have. So, everything is bigger, but that's just the way it is in the US. And you get used to it, and it's cool. It's a different culture.
Yeah, and you brought up the weather, and specifically, those 95 and 100-degree days in Eastern North Carolina, that are so typical during the summer. And obviously, I knew the temperature in Norway was much cooler, but I'm just looking it up on average in the month of July. In Norway, I think the average temperatures are in the upper 60s, maybe about
Yeah,
70. And then
yeah, that is correct.
in Greenville, you talk about the humidity, and so not only do you have those temperatures that are 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit, you have the real feel of 100 plus, and so just talk about the challenge of a golfer playing because a lot of people think, well, golf, how big of a difference can that make? But especially when you're walking, that can make a huge difference. Just as far as fatigue and so forth.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And just even practicing at the beginning, it's hard to keep up the same amount of hours because you use so much more energy just um, on the little things that you do, and you get drained so fast. But again, it's something that you get used to, and um, it's kind of like if you've been sick or something, you almost have to like start a little bit slow when you get back to something. It's like that. You have to start a little bit slow and then slowly increase the workload that you put on yourself.
So again, let's first focus on your career. On the course, 47 events in your ECU career, 136 total rounds, and you had an average of 73.1, just over 73.1, which anybody that knows anything about golf knows how solid that is, and that is the best career mark
Thanks.
for an ECU women's golfer. But so just talk about arriving onto the scene, what kind of where you were that very first year in the program, because I know there's obviously a transition period.
Yeah, my first year, I mean, I'm lucky that I played uh, as well as I have, but I think a part of it is the drive that I had to play professional, and so I would always put in the extra practice. My first year, I mean, I remember there was one event I barely qualified for it, and so I wasn't best on the team my freshman year. Everything is new. You might play some good rounds, but it's not just the weather and you're on a different continent that is new. It's also the school system and having to do all your classes in English. It's that also actually drains you with energy because you have to just use so much more energy to focus and concentrate, and everything takes more time at the beginning. So there are other things that might affect how you play. But as I said earlier, when you get used to things, it'll go smoother. And also when you practice with people that are better than you, obviously that will help lift your game. And I think that's what happened to me too.
A lot of folks are, fairly familiar with some of the typical schedule as far as, basketball, baseball, football, but, take us through the routine of a college golfer in terms of, both in the fall and the spring seasons, the things that you guys do is in terms of the schedule of, going to the course and hitting balls and practicing putting, practicing chipping, sand shots, so on and so forth.
Do you mean for just an average week or
Yeah,
tournaments or?
yes, just an average week, both kind of a week that you do not have a tournament, and then a week where you would be preparing for a tournament.
I think as a freshman, it's very different because you have study hall and you meet your academic advisor. But in general, you go to your classes, you eat lunch, you go to practice, and you're at practice for everything from 2 to 5 hours, and then um, you either have workouts in the afternoon or early in the morning, and then you basically just eat dinner and study and go to bed. That's the life. And for tournaments, you travel. Um, if you fly or if it's a long travel, you'll have a travel day. And for practice round, you get up early and you're on the course the whole day. Um, you play the practice round and then you practice. Um, you know, whatever you feel like you need to that the course requires. And we played a lot of 36 hole events, which um, in the US takes a lot of time, and so those events were pretty challenging because you have to, um, I'd say you have to be on top of your schoolwork a lot more for those events. Um, I mean, you're on the course the whole day. You get up at 6 a.m., you're on the course at 8 a.m., and you basically play till it's dark, and then you eat dinner and go to bed. Um, and so, I mean, I think you have to love golf, um, to go to college and play golf because if not, like, that life isn't for you. But if you love golf, you'll love the life.
No doubt about it. You do have to definitely be committed to it and to be a student athlete at the college level because it is a full time job. No matter what sport you're
Yeah,
playing, if you're going to be any good and be able to be competitive with the best, as you mentioned. But during your time playing for the Pirates, first, just talk about your time under Coach Kevin Williams. Do you have any very memorable events, maybe a certain finish, where you won a tournament or something that kind of stands out among the rest?
when Kevin Williams was my coach, we had a spring break in 2019, I think it was, where we stayed in Florida for almost a week and we watched the PGA Tour event at Bay Hill, and also played two tournaments, which was a lot of fun. I would say I won the Puerto Rico event during Coach Williams' time, which is one of my highlights. It was a very strong field and obviously a cool occasion to win a college tournament.
No doubt about it. And before we talk about that transition from Coach Kevin Williams to CC Buford, if you would just talk about Coach Williams as a coach because obviously he's back now as the head coach for ECU men's golf. I know you're well aware of that, and
Yes.
so much success that he's had as a coach, both at East Carolina and at other universities. But just talk about Coach Williams on you know kind of his style and how he approaches things, and then I talk about the emphasis that he places on academics because I know that's something that the majority of that program had fared very well at. I know you were a four-time AAC All Academic Team selection and also a WGCA World Golf Club Association D1
Yeah.
Scholar All America selection.
Yeah. Um, I Kevin Williams definitely puts emphasis on the academics and that's a good thing. It's good for us that he does it. As a freshman, he already made the standards pretty clear, I remember. And but I mean, I think I've always I grew up in a culture where academics is important, and I would say a lot of my other teammates also really had an inner drive to do well in school, which helped. Because I mean, if you're gonna put down the work, you have to have some internal motivation. Kevin Williams as a coach, he is so kind, and he always listens to his players, and I really like that he wants us to have fun. I remember when we traveled to tournaments, we would do some sightseeing or um, do something cool that we would remember other than just being at the golf course, which I really liked, and that has also given a lot of other cool memories from my time in college, and so I always appreciated that.
So they're going into what you thought was going to be your final year with the program prior to the craziness of COVID. You had that transition going from Coach Williams to Coach Buford. So talk about that and how that went.
It went really well. Coach Buford is, I think, in a lot of ways, very similar to Coach Williams. She's also super kind and listens and um, really also just wants us to have fun. And I think when a coach has that attitude, a lot of the time it will also create really good results. Um, I mean, when COVID hit, I was really looking forward to turning pro, and so I wasn't really sure at the beginning if I wanted to continue because for me, like I said, academics is important for me. So I knew if I returned, I wouldn't just take classes. Like, what was I gonna do with the time? And so I ended up doing an MBA, but I knew it was gonna be a tough decision, and so I think that's why I didn't just jump onto the decision right away to continue college. But in the end, I did, and I'm very thankful I did. I learned a lot, and I got another really good degree.
And so talk about that 2020 season specifically, kind of going back before the decision you had to make that you just referenced. In that 2020 season, you played extremely well in those. I think it was something like I'm trying to remember how many rounds you had played before the shutdown, but you were averaging 71.5, which is tremendous.
Yeah, yeah, I was playing good. Um, I mean, when it all came to it, it was COVID, and it was it all happened kind of fast. I mean, I didn't. It didn't feel like that big of a sacrifice almost to stop playing. It seemed right at the time, and it still wasn't the right decision. Unfortunately, it was sad that that's how it ended, but we all got a second chance, or at least those of us who wanted to do that extra year, and so it all worked out really well in the end.
So in that final season, you qualify for a regional as an individual. So just talk about the unfortunate events that transpired, and but then when that door closed, you fortunately had Barstool Sports step up, and you were able to head out west to play in the tournament.
Yeah, that was really unique and very special. I've thought a lot about um that Barstool event in California because both of my coaches were there, and ended up being a really memorable last event of my collegiate career, but definitely how regionals happened and how it turned out, it's still hard to grasp it in a way because just the fact that weather shouldn't affect the result that much, I think, or it shouldn't affect their decision if we should play or not in that sense. It was just really weird because the weather was so great, but the course was wet. But then we went out to the course to practice, and nobody were doing anything to improve the conditions, and so it kind of just seemed like they didn't care. And so that was really, really strange attitude to meet at a regional championship from a host.
Yeah.
But I mean, we couldn't do anything. It kind of felt like, it was protests, obviously, and that is what led to the Barstool event. But yeah,
Now,
it played out how it did.
refresh me. Was that in Louisiana?
Yeah, LSU.
Okay.
LSU was the host.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when everything went down, and obviously, um, being all those hours away, you didn't know necessarily what to believe, but you started to see from pretty reliable sources from a number of schools who were involved in that regional that things definitely did not unfold the way they should have, and like you mentioned, didn't seem like everything was being done to put the regional on, and it was such a shame and very unfair to the teams as well as those individual qualifiers. But fortunately, Barstool stepped up, and you at least had an opportunity to play in that event with all those other teams and individuals that were part of that
Yeah,
LSU regional. But
yeah.
so after your East Carolina career, and take us through where you currently are. I know you're trying to play professionally, and just talk about your routine and some of the things that you've been doing to make that happen.
Yeah, yeah, we're about to start my first full season as a professional golfer, so I'm gonna be playing a sub tour to the European Tour this year. And so the season is about to start in the middle of March. So I'm actually looking to come to Greenville a little bit to practice, so that'll be nice. My routine varies depending on where I am. Like now I'm home, we practice indoors, so I'll put in less time, but do more mental stuff and work out a lot more. When I'm out on grass, I'll be on the course basically the whole day. So the routine varies a lot depending on the time and place.
So, just being honest, over the last several years, I've not kept that close of an eye on the LPGA Tour. Growing up, back 10, 15 years ago, I watched it much more closely. During those years when Tiger was dominating the PGA Tour and winning so many tournaments, especially the majors, and on the LPGA side of things, Annika Sorenstam, she was dominating. She won 10 majors over about a 13 or 14-year stretch, and you know there were those talks, how she was the kind of the Tiger of the LPGA Tour. So just talk about the impact that maybe she had, and then also other golfers that you really admire in the professional ranks.
Yeah, Annika, I didn't really watch her play that much when I grew up, but she has done a lot for women's golf. She has this tournament series in Sweden um, for junior golfers, and I played it 1 year, and it was a very cool event. She was there. She put on a great clinic. She would hit shots and be open for questions. And she had this dinner where she just really put on a show. So she's doing a lot to promote golf and just to make women and girls have fun with golf. Um, And nowadays, I watch a lot of um, Nelly Korda on on the LPGA or on YouTube. I watch a lot of her highlights.
Final thing I have for you, obviously, being an East Carolina Pirate, you're well aware of HV3. HV3 has performed so well in recent years. He came so close to win so many times, and in the final pairing or two of tournaments, but just had not been able to get it done on the weekend. Specifically on Sundays in that final round. But here in the last couple weeks, he was able to do just that. Not a PGA event, but a very big tournament that included a lot of the PGA's best over in the Saudi International. 92-foot putt that HV3
Yeah.
holed to win, and that victory propelled him into the top 50 in the world. And he's in a pretty good spot to potentially play in the Masters for the first time this year.
Yeah, his success has been really cool, and it's always good to see that somebody succeeds in reaching their dream. Um, and obviously that win was huge. I think not just because of the win, but how he did it. I mean, that putt on the last hole was, I think it's gonna be in one of those moments that are super epic for golf. Um, and I mean, there are several pirates that have tried to play professionally or are playing, and it's good to have that environment. I think that people are ambitious and work to either reach their dreams or accomplish their goals. But like I said, it's really cool to just see him succeed. It's I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, no doubt. Saw a graphic shortly after that victory he had in the Saudi International that showed his rise in professional golf. Going from something, I'm trying to remember if it was 1,300 or 1,500 in the world way back in 2012 or 2013 when he started, to now, like I mentioned, in the top 50, and being in
Yeah.
contention to play in this year's Masters is also awesome to see. During your time, did you? I know he's very involved and loves the Pirates and loves his alma mater. But I know Coach Williams recently said that HV3 was very instrumental in I think it was $35,000 or $40,000 being raised. I think it's what with the Pirate Cup and that you guys have.
Yeah, that is a tournament that we have every year, and it's called the Pirate Cup. And Harold has been there, I think, all the years that I was at ECU, and he would show up, which is awesome. And people would pay to play, or so it's a very cool event, and a cool way to raise money for the program, I think.
Definitely is. And the women's golf program has had so much success, and I definitely see it as well as the men's side of thing having a lot of success moving forward under Coach Williams and Coach Buford. Well, Dorthea, we really appreciate your time, you being so generous on accommodating our schedule with the 6 hour time difference. There, I know it's a little after 10 o'clock p.m. So really appreciate you coming
No
on, and we'd
problem.
love to have you back on. We'll be following your professional career, and we'll have you back on down the road sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks so much. There you have East Carolina women's golfer who just wrapped up her Pirate career in 2021, Dorthea Forbrigd. The best career average, 73.13, over 47 events and 136 rounds. And then also she got it done in the classroom as well. Like I mentioned earlier, she is a four-time Women's Golf Coaches Association D1 Scholar All-America selection from 2017 to 2020. If you're out there, maybe you're a member of the Pirate Club or you're on the fence about joining the Pirate Club, Dorthea Forbrigd is, why it's so rewarding to donate to East Carolina University Athletics, because she obviously succeeded on the course, but also made Pirate Nation proud with everything she did in the classroom and in the community, and what she will do, in the future as she pursues her professional golf career. But before we wrap this up and get out of here, I want to really, show some appreciation to our sponsors. As you see there on the screen, if you're watching us live or archived, Next Level Training Center, Eastern North Carolina's premier baseball and softball training facility, nextleveltc.com or 252-756-NEXT. Again, nextleveltc.com, or you can call 252-756-NEXT to contact Trent Britt or a member of his excellent staff there at Next Level. Also, appreciate Mark Minikazi, former East Carolina third baseman, pgxgloves.com, customized baseball gloves, also batting gloves, wide receiver gloves, have some other items, tremendous apparel. You see the very sharp logo there on the screen with the lion's head with the baseball in its mouth. So give pgxgloves.com, a look for those needs. If you have a son or daughter that's playing baseball or softball this spring, get them a customized glove for their birthday, or maybe for Christmas, excuse me. But definitely check out pgxgloves.com and remember to use that promo code ECU, and you'll get 25% off your order, no matter what those products or items you're ordering are, because that is good for 25% off all products on the pgxgloves.com site. And then last but certainly not least, surveillance and security solutions. Tim Neal's security business. They can meet all your needs in a reliable, timely, and accurate fashion. And give Tim a call, 716-490-4503. Again, 716-490-4503. Tim Neal with Surveillance and Security Solutions. Well, that will do it for this show. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Twitter and TikTok at TheSportsOBJ, on Instagram at The Sports Objective. Like and follow us on Facebook, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring that notification bell so you'll be alerted anytime we release new content. For my absent co-hosts, Dave Richmond, Kyle Barber, and Matt Semenza, this is Bubba Rosenbaum. You have been watching and listening to The Sports Objective. Have a great one, everyone. Take care.